When I was 17, there was a meeting where Warren Jeff stood up in church, reprimanded the fathers in the community. A lot of young girls had gotten married. I mean young, just in 17. One girl was 15, another girl was 14. And I was 17, which was actually on the older end of girls by that time. The laws had been passed in Utah that you couldn't marry a man 10 years older than you. So all of these weddings were being done in secret. They were being done in Nevada, in a place called Caliente. I wanted to get married up until 6 months before I did. And then it was like all of a sudden I was fine. I didn't feel like I had to run away. I didn't feel like I needed to be anywhere else. I had an amazing friendship with my dad. A really beautiful, he has a great sense of humor. We would laugh a lot together. We would laugh. I was his pride. I could tell that he was so proud of me and so invested in my happiness. And I had told him, I don't want to marry a man as old as you. It was rude. I did not want to marry an older man. I felt like that I wanted to be a success story of being a second or third wife or whatever. When Warren Jeff stood up, he reprimanded the fathers for holding back their daughters. He reprimanded them for not turning in their daughters, that God had a place for these girls. The fathers' selfishness, what was holding the girls back, that they needed to sacrifice all, they needed to give all. My dad came home from church that day and he said, I think I have to turn you in, and I think that it has to be done right away. So he called, and it usually was incredibly difficult to get in to see Warren. My dad called and we had an appointment scheduled the next day. So we left that afternoon. My dad took myself and my sister to a photographer, got my first and only single photograph. And he told me that we were taking these pictures so that Uncle Rulon had something to look at. And that's what Warren said those photos were for, was for Uncle Rulon to look at and decide who should marry whom, and that he would receive revelation from God simply by looking at these pictures. And I was excited. I was scared. We went to see Warren, and we were taken right into Uncle Rulon's office, his father. The first thing he said to me was, "You are so beautiful." Uncle Rulon said that. And I'll tell you again, he was my mom's first cousin, Uncle Rulon was. So later, several times, Uncle Rulon told me, "You look like my mother." And that was the sweetest compliment from him. His wives had told me several times that when he'd see me, he'd say, "That looks like my mother. That's my mother." He was not 100% mentally there. He'd had a severe stroke when he was 88. This was when he was 92. So I had a sweet connection with Uncle Rulon, but I did not ever anticipate marrying Warren. My dad told Uncle Rulon in front of me and my sister he felt like we belonged to Warren. When we were leaving the room, Uncle Rulon said fine, and I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Then when we were leaving the room, Warren turned to my dad and he said, "We'll talk." And I knew Warren did not want to marry me. I felt I wasn't skinny. I wasn't short and tiny. I was actually quite a tall girl. I was about 160 pounds and not obese, but I was definitely chunky. And I felt like that, looking back on what I knew about the girls who married him, that they were either really pretty or really popular. And there was one or two who didn't fit into that, but they were kind of separated from his ladies. You could tell that they didn't fit in with any of the cliques. And you could definitely tell that there was favoritism, even as a teenager looking on. So we went home and we got called a few hours later. Warren told us to come back up to the house, to the office, and he would tell us about what Uncle Rulon had decided. We went in and he asked to talk to my dad first, and then he talked to me, and he took me into his office and he said, "Will you marry me?" And it just really hit me. And I said, if that's what the prophet wants, if that's what he wants, I'll do it. Because I felt like that I had to make the ultimate sacrifice to be worthy, to be a mother, to be worthy, to be a wife. I truly felt insignificant as a person in the community. I wasn't popular. In my perspective, I wasn't what you'd call pretty. So he told me to go home, and he said, "You go pray for a testimony of this marriage. You go pray for a testimony." And this was a hard one for me. This one, my sister was very giddy and excited. I went home that afternoon. I sewed 2 wedding dresses, one for myself and for my sister. My mom did help me with mine. I was very good at sewing. We had to stay very quiet. We were told that we were going to go get married in hiding because we were both 17. And he was 28 years older than us. There's that. I did not want to marry him. I didn't.